Well, I joined in December of 1956.
In 40 years, this July.
Been a member of the fire department for 44 years.
Wow, Ken.
Joined in 1971.
I joined in 1981, so that's 33 years.
Department when I was 16 years old, back in 1990. I would join the Aurora Fire Department after had been in King Ferry Fire Department for 20 years. So when I got to my 20-year mark, they held me to it.
December 1992.
24 years.
20-some years ago.
I don't know exactly what year that I joined the fire department. It was a long time ago. It was over 20 years.
Member for 19 years.
And she's only 19.
And I'm also
I was 16 years old when I joined, about 17 years ago, and been a faithful member ever since.
I joined in 2001. I've been in about 13 years now.
I joined August of 2002.
I joined the fire department in 2009, in the fall of 2009.
I've been with the department for 6 years, and this is my 6th year.
With the Aurora Fire Department, been involved down here for 6 years now.
I have 5 years of service. I started in December of 2008.
Fire department for 4 years, I think, 2010.
All right. So what made you join?
Just want to give something back to the community.
I guess to give back to the community.
I thought it was something I'd be interested in doing, and so I decided I'd join.
It was just something that you liked as a kid, and like everybody, even today in those days, help was short, you know, and a few of my friends were already in the department, so you got in, you know, it was something that you enjoyed. So.
I was married to Jim Chase, who was a member, and he'd been a volunteer for some years, and it occurred to me that as he was rushing out the door one night that it was silly that I wasn't rushing out the door also. I thought I could probably help.
How'd you started, Sarah?
my dad. My dad's been a member for ever, and he's Ron Jones, and he's been a member for, gosh, 57 years, something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what, your dad inspired you, but in what way? When he came home and tell you stories, or what was it specifically?
Just his love for the department, for the camaraderie, and the service that he's doing for the community. It's just a lot of respect for that, and he really instilled that into all of us in my family.
Just being a part of a small community, you get the mindset of helping each other whenever you can, and this was the best way to help my fellow community members, because small communities become kind of like family, so they'll help each other out.
I kind of grew up in this building. My father's a 45-year member of this department, and building was built in '78, which means I'd have been about 5 years old, and I spent my entire life down here with him and my brother. Both spent hours in this building. No, I joined when I was 17, when I could join.
So my wife and I got a cold call from then Fire Chief Frank, who said that they were just needed more people, more volunteers for the fire department. He suggested driving the ambulance as an example of something that could be done that both of us could do. Up until that point, I didn't sort of realize that the fire department needed people to volunteer. I just sort of assumed that it had its own the fire department sort size. But at that point, I had been very aware. I have a bunch of friends who were members of the fire department, and had been aware we had some significant tragedies in town that made me realize how much the fire department did. And so it wasn't any question to me that it would be some group I'd want to join.
Miller and I were recruited at the Fireman Appreciation Day picnic by Frank Zimdahl and Larry Mattingly and Ed Heslop. I was surprised that they approached us, Sarah and I, and we thought, boy, they must be desperate if they're asking us to join the fire department. when they interviewed us with the executive committee, we actually said that. But then when we realized what they needed as far as EMTs and started doing some of the training, we realized that there was a place for us in the department.
A very important.
Right. And then shortly after I joined, they needed a secretary. The secretary had resigned from the department, so I took over as secretary.
And you're still doing that,
And I'm
aren't
still
you?
doing that.
The last recruitment I went to, I told all the students we were up to the high school, and basically why I joined in the early years when I was 16 years old was for the girls. It's a cool thing to do. Get the attention of the girls. That was a cool thing to do. Basically, yeah. But once I was involved for a couple of years, it was no longer about that. It was about the community and being able to help the community. And I mean, it is a really cool thing to do. And it takes a special type of person to be able to do what we do, as in fighting fire or taking care of somebody that is in full cardiac arrest or any sort of thing that most people run away from. We have to do that. And it takes a special breed in order to do that. The other side of that is that we always get to help the community out. And when somebody comes down after a fire or an accident and they come back, they're recovered, and they say thank you, whether it be in a letter or in person, that makes... You could get 1,000 calls and one person comes back and says that. That means everything right there. That's why I do this. Not to mention you get to run inside of burning buildings, but...
Got you interested?
My father was a fireman in King Ferry since about, I'm guessing, I think he joined about the time I was born, in the early 70s. So he was close to a 20-year member when I joined. So that I was always around the fire department. I like being around all the people. I absolutely like helping people. I like all the aspects of being in the fire department, not just firefighting and not just rescue. Pumping cellars is, I enjoy helping anybody out that needs a helping hand.
Did you join?
I joined originally in a department in Western New York, and to help people and kind of give my time back to the community.
I was working at Wells and I was helping the Wells students join. They were doing a recruiting effort and I thought I would come with the students and show them where to go and where to sit, and I went through the recruitment speech and I ended up joining with them, the group of students at the same time, and a lot of them have left and graduated and I'm still here.
Fire chief at the time did a presentation at the high school and asked for volunteers from the high school and for all the different departments in the area, and this Aurora happened to be where I lived, so I went down to the next meeting and checked it out and liked what they had to offer, so I volunteered.
To join.
Wanted to help out and support my community, and it was a strong group of membership then, so we had a lot of good times then and present.
Okay, so
I remember one time when the whistle blows, the adrenaline starts to pump. And I remember you sitting in the back. At the time we had a Suburban as far as an ambulance was concerned, and you couldn't stand up in it, you'd had to kneel down. So if you're going to do CPR, you're kneeling all the way to Auburn, which is about a half an hour ride in. And I remember asking Dave Brooks, I says, how do you keep so calm, when you're on your way to a run, you're not sure what it is? And he says, if it's heart or whatever, think of the worst scenario, and as you're going, get things ready for that problem or that scenario. And then when you get there, then you have everything ready, and that keeps your mind going instead of being all hyper. And so that I found that to be really helpful. But you run across people who have had a heart attack, they stop breathing, you do CPR, and sometimes it's not as clean as you see on TV, like ER or something of this nature. We usually get our patients before you get them into the hospital, so whatever situation you find them in, you try to clean them up and things of this nature before you get them to the hospital.
Fire police basically is traffic control. Now I do a little extra, I always feel that I go to scenes where you don't really need somebody, but you're on the scene, it's keep scene control, scene security. It's a laugh most of the time if nobody's around, but you never know, You get people that want to find out what's going on, you move them back and stuff. So, rather than sit at the firehouse, I'll run down someplace on the call just to be on the scene in case there was an extra hand needed. And you know, there's never any control issues as far as crowds, but you never know.
So what, were you an intern, go in the buildings kind of guy? Internal?
I've always been.
And
if I can't do that anymore, I won't be a firefighter anymore. I won't.
what's the thrill there?
Winning. I don't like fire.
Yeah.
It's a thrill, it's a rush, it's everything, but when you see what it does to somebody's family, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
So I want to beat it.
Yeah.
And I always will beat it.
So JD, you had to go through a lot of training, didn't you? Are you a certified firefighter now?
Yes, I'm a certified interior and exterior firefighter, pump operator, driver for the ambulance and the fire apparatus. Drive all the apparatus. I can go inside a building that's on fire with an air pack on. I can drive the ambulance for medical emergencies. I can run the pumps on the truck to get water to the hose lines. Car accidents that it can get very intense, but we have a strong core of officers that keeps everything under control, and even when it gets a little intense, we can still hold our own and get the job done.
But I started driving the ambulance almost as soon as I possibly could, and yeah, became an EMT as soon as the next class came around. Yeah.
I was an EMT. I let that lapse. I just ran out of time, but I am a nurse now. But if I hadn't had the experience of being an EMT, I probably would not have pursued a nursing career.
Really?
So I've gained a lot of experience in the fire department, scuba diving, and opportunities I wouldn't have had otherwise.
As the fire chief, you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for the training of your membership. You're responsible for the readiness of the apparatus, and you're responsible for pretty much all aspects of fire safety in your fire district. So if somebody's got a problem, somebody calls you because their smoke detector's not working, you go and you take care of it. You help them. You help people be as safe as they possibly can. You've got to do any more than anybody else does. But it does require you to be here a lot. You need to be here on a fairly regular basis to check on things, make sure that, the trucks are ready to go and that everything's, the equipment that's on those trucks is ready to go. And the captains that have the responsibility of the vehicles, they do a large part of that, but ultimately it falls onto the chiefs, the three chiefs, the chief and the two assistant chiefs' shoulders to make sure that this stuff is ready, and if we have a call or need to go do something, that it's ready and that we can take it in moment's notice and go help somebody with it.
What do you do in interior? That's the scariest part, right? Yeah.
I guess the training for it was pretty intense. It was twice a week for what seemed like all spring, and then now it's just keeping up to date once a month, coming to training twice a year, doing SEA.
Shortly after Jimmy Weber joined before me, and after we got in, everybody was expected to learn all aspects, and then we started setting up teams and trying to get more proficient in certain areas, so we both liked the excitement of the fire and being inside and going in to put them out, so that's what we practiced the hardest at.
I am an interior firefighter, an EMT, and I'm on the dive team. I've always wanted to learn to scuba dive, and this gave me the opportunity to do it.
You do more than that.
I think anytime you have a full arrest, you really see how the team works together, because there's so many things that have to be done, and you're in such a small, tiny, confined space, and everybody has to do their role. They have to let somebody know if they can't fulfill what they're doing, and then you switch, and everybody is aware of what everybody else is doing, and that's where you really see the team come together. That, and I would say car accidents, when you're working together with the fire department and you have to take the firefighters have to take the car apart, and you have to determine how you're going to get this patient out of the car, and then getting the patient out of the car, and then it's that's where all that training comes in, and you're glad that, for all the complaining about, oh, it's drill night again, when when it actually happens, you're glad that you did all the training.
What the training's like for EMT, and did you want to do any kind of nursing or medical help? Was that ever in your career choice?
It never was, and it's funny because when I was a kid, my favorite TV show was Emergency, and that was the catalyst for a lot of people that got into EMS and became paramedics or EMTs. But as much as I love that show, it never occurred to me to be a firefighter or an EMT. So I just thought it was kind of funny that that's where I ended up.
Well, so what was it like? What was the training like?
The EMT training, well, now it's a 6-month class. When I took it, it was 5 months. They've since added more material. But that was a 5-month class, and I loved it. I loved EMT class.
What did you love about it?
I like to study and I like to learn, and I was engaged. So, I just loved everything about the EMT class.
When I joined the fire department, I was 16, so I was technically a junior member till I was 18. And to take the EMT test, you have to be 18 years old. So I started EMT when I was 18, and got through that. And then I went away to college for a little bit. I was still coming back and forth from college to do drills and trainings and things like that.
Wow. Did you practice at college?
I did not. There was a crew at college, but I was so busy that I didn't have time to do that too.
And the training was how long? How long did you have to train?
Training was about 5 months back then for EMT, and then all the extra CMEs and things like that too.
Wow. You must have a very strong stomach. Yes?
Well,
yeah.
Yeah,
But I
you
mean,
deal with things.
Well, is it the same type of individual that wants to be a nurse becomes an EMT?
I'm not sure. I think there are some similarities, but being an EMT, you get to see firsthand. The nurses see in the ER, see what you've cleaned up and brought to them. So it's a little bit different.
What does chief involve? What's your job description there?
Well, I am I'm it. I guess
The buck
everything.
stops here.
It does.
Right on your lap, yeah.
Yeah, so for any kind of on-scene work, I'm the incident commander. And with all the department stuff, anything, I report to our Board of Fire Commissioners. I have to make the budget for the department, spend the money. I have to, there's so many things, all the paperwork. And
Really?
There's a lot of paperwork.
And as well as being responsible for every single member.
Yes.
And then, and being on scene and delegating each member to do whatever it is that needs to be. Wow.
Yeah.
How do you learn this?
Well, it's very helpful if the person who was there before you helps you out. And I had a very good teacher, Mark Bailey. He's my assistant chief now. I took over for him. And he's walked me through it and really helped me. I don't think I could have done it if there have been some chiefs that are just, okay, I'm done. And, and I don't know if I could have done that if he hadn't helped me. So.
I guess the jobs would be assistant chief, of course, where I'm actually in control of basically the whole department minus 2 people. I'm also a certified scuba diver, certified ice rescuer, and I can operate all the trucks. I have a Class A license. They're a county team, the High Angle Rescue. I'm not involved with that. I just don't like hanging off of ropes, but that's just me.
So you can get to pick and choose what
you can. Yep. There's no first and foremost, of course, down here we're firefighters. We're the fire department, and then of course the specialties on top of that. Your EMT, the ice rescue, scuba diving, the whole 9 yards. We have our own scuba diving team and ice rescue team. We're not just the Aurora Fire Department. We actually have our own teams. So.
I've been involved in a couple of dive searches, so that was memorable, I guess would be the word. Probably for me would be with the dive team when Ethan and I went over to Seneca Falls either last January or the year before in pretty cold water, and we were under so long. We were not enjoying the search, but we were just so involved in it that they had to actually come and get us to make it. We were that dedicated to finding what we were looking for.
A lot of the EMT calls stand out as momentous, but then again there's the fire training, which I really like. It's being on the hose and learning I can do that, or climbing a ladder, or rappelling, or any of those things. Those are really rewarding also.
Break down anything is outstanding. It was just, there's so many different things that we've done over the last 57 years that it's hard to break anything out. I don't dwell on anything. I don't even remember a lot of stuff because it's just what we did. We got called out, we went, and we did what we had to do and figured out how we were going to do it and went from there.
Best experiences here would be just working with the people, whether it be in an emergency situation, fundraising. It's just a lot of fun to work with everybody here, and we have such a tight group of people that we're all friendly and we all like to work together, so that makes it a lot of fun.
One of the toughest things we did was they call it the breathe down. When you get an air pack and they say this air pack, has 30 minutes of air in it, and then run through this obstacle course. And all of a sudden that air pack doesn't have 30 minutes of air in it anymore. If you were sitting at a desk, it would have 30 minutes of air in it. But when you're running around and you'd crawl up the stairs, then you'd pick up these weights, and then you'd keep doing it again and again and again, then you realize how much air you do use and whether you're in shape or you're not in shape. And then people would be tagged out when they'd run out of air in their pack, and that was very interesting. It also makes you think, if you're actually going into a building, how far could you get on that one tank of air? Maybe you couldn't even make it to the second story.
Very early in before I was an EMT, actually, when I was, I think, preparing to be an EMT, we responded to a call that looked like it was going to be horrible. It was a car accident, and it looked like it was going to be horrible by the condition of the truck, that looked like somebody could not have survived in it. And we weren't sure, and as the whole team approached, I saw the same expression on everybody's face. That was an interesting combination of, I don't know what I'm going to see here, but there was like no hesitation. Everybody was going to do their job. To me, that was a very inspiring moment. There have also been times when they're not, luckily they don't have to happen that often, but there are times as an EMT when you realize you've actually just saved somebody's life. One of my favorite stories, I wasn't even on this fire, but it was a fire where the house was completely consumed, and the sorts of things that we do include sometimes, one of the firefighters had just rescued family photos basically from the collection. And
some very incredible fires over the years. Mackenzie Child's one. The investigators said there's no way the building should have been saved, and the fire stopped when we proved them wrong. Early 70s, Hurricane Agnes, when we went downstate, the massive flooding and rescuing people from their second floor windows was quite an eye-opening experience for those of us who were there.
Diving on a known dead body is not fun at all. Probably the most remarkable thing of firefighting was being involved in a flashover.
What's that?
Which is where the whole room ignites at once, whether or not you're in it or not. Kevin Jones and I went through one down at the Kirtland's fire.
Oh my golly.
It gets really hot really fast. All the sheetrock comes off the ceilings. So.
But you were safe?
Huh?
You were safe?
Always.
Okay. And what about a diving experience?
Oh, diving's fun. I mean, looking for somebody who's definitely drowned is not cool, but somebody has to go do it. So, and Aurora has probably, definitely in this county and probably both counties, probably one of the best dive teams around.
So what would you say is your most rewarding experience with the fire department?
I believe it is when, as an EMT, we can really help someone's scared or hurt or thinks they might be or just feels horrible, and we're able to give them some relief and some comfort, take them to the hospital where they get more relief and comfort, hopefully.
You give, but you get. I mean, it's a lot of reward. It's a great feeling when you can go and you help your neighbors and you actually get there and you start to make a situation better. People are actually happy to see you be there. Mm-hmm. That's a feeling that you really can't really describe.
It's probably one of the most rewarding personal jobs there is. You don't.
Those fans are bad. Go ahead.
You don't necessarily get thank yous all the time, and people don't just shake your hand and they're like, "Oh, you're with the fire department." But personally, it's very, very rewarding. You don't need to be told that to know that you're doing something right, and especially with the family crew that we have here, we're all pretty much family, and we all know that we do the job and we do it very, very well.
Probably the way I was raised, that you're always there to help people. And it can be very enjoyable helping people. It's like, well, I don't want to go do that. I don't want to go pump that basement. I don't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to help this person get in the ambulance to go to the hospital, or pick up someone who's one of the college students that's had too much, enjoying life too much, we might say. But there's a satisfaction to find out that those people need you, and you're there to give them something that they need that they can't get anyplace else.
I think it's just about the community. I think, you know, I live a little bit out of town. If I do come to a call, I'm the last one to get here, and sometimes I wonder if I help as much as I can, but then you get together with the whole group, and when you do help with something, everyone's so appreciative, and the community within the fire department and the community that supports the fire department on the outside really makes you want to find the time to keep doing it even when you're really busy.
Like that.
You get out of it what you put in, and it's very fulfilling. You can get a lot of happiness and joy out of helping other people. Not so much in their sorrow or their distress, but just knowing that you've been able to assist them in their time of need. And like I say, the camaraderie is a fantastic thing that you take away with you after every call and every fundraising event as well.
What would you say is the most important thing you've learned being a volunteer?
I guess just I've learned about what the department does, and when you just live locally, you have no idea that there are people that this is like more than a full-time job for them, but they're just volunteers, you know, like Mark and Sarah, and you have no idea what it takes to run the fire department. And I think when you meet those people and know everything that they do, you have a certain appreciation for what it's like to live in a town that has a volunteer fire department, and how much people put into this program here, and it would not exist without them.
No.
But the one thing that probably that I've learned, and it took me a long time to get there, but I think I've finally started to get a grasp on it anyway, is working with other people. Everybody's got a different way of looking at things. They might not always agree with you. Sometimes when we're on a fire scene specifically, it doesn't matter if they agree with me or not. If I'm the one in charge, then I'm the one in charge. When we get back here, it's a whole different atmosphere. It's more like a family. It's got to be more give and take. There's got to be there's got to be respect for other people's ideas and other people's thoughts. And that, if anything, is one thing that I've probably learned, is, you know, trying to be respectful of other people's ideas and making sure that there is more than one way to look at something, and maybe that idea is better than yours, and you've kind of got to accept that and move forward. So.
I think the biggest lesson learned and the most important thing that we try to convey to new EMTs, because I also help teach in the EMT classes, is your training is going to kick in. You know, you hear about all these scenarios and you think, oh my God, can I actually do this? If this happens, will I be able to function? And your training kicks in. It just does. You know, you make sure that you have all that training and you practice, and it's, you know, repetitive, so that when something does happen and you're needed, that you know what to do.
Well, for instance, I have a natural aversion to seeing blood, and in fact share my mother's tendency to kind of get woozy and faint. And so to me, the biggest realization was that when I'm doing a job, when saving or working with somebody who's in a crisis situation, that as long as I've got a job, I can I can survive that.
Really?
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem except later.
Well, that I've often asked, can you be a wimp and be in the fire department? Because,
I think there are a lot of people who, when a job has to be done, and it's oftentimes in emergency situations, it's obvious that a job has to be done, that they rise to the occasion.
And you're trained to do that,
And
right?
and knowing what you have to do and training what to do helps a lot.
So what have you learned about yourself being in this for 4 years now?
I guess I can handle stress pretty well. Being in the military, I already sort of knew that.
So did you discover something about yourself that you didn't know you had in you by being an EMT?
I didn't know I had a compassion to care that much, and that I would keep it up for 33 years. I'm just truly glad that I've been a part of it for this long, and hope I am for a while longer.
Back in those days, we didn't have anything else. If you join, you're a online firefighter. We had 6 uniforms, not uniforms, but we had 6 coats and 6 helmets and 6 boots. Equipment, we didn't have any masks or anything, so you did what you had to do. If there was a coat that you could wear, you put it on, otherwise you were...
Kind of unprotected.
Right.
Was there an EMT as well back then?
No, there was not such a thing.
But did you take care of people if they called and they were having...
Yeah, we'd go and help them, but we didn't know what we were doing. We just made up got them a thing, and you had to wait. Back in those days, you had to wait for an ambulance to come from Auburn Hospital, and that would take at least a half an hour. The chief back in those days, he had to put a thing on his front bumper, and so he could push the engine up the hills, because it didn't have that much power.
A little engine that could. Oh my golly.
But we did put a lot of fires out with that.
Well, a lot of your children are in the fire department, Ron. You must have been quite an inspiration. Well, what did you tell them growing up?
Well, I didn't have to tell them too much. They just were always around the fire department. I'd come up and work on equipment or something like that. Some of them would come up, and quite a few of them have joined up. A lot of my I got several
Grandkids in it too. How do you work it when 4 children and you're called at 2 in the morning and the babies are crying and another child doesn't want you to leave? And
That happens all the time.
What do you do?
I actually had that happen. My 3-year-old was crying when I left just now. They don't like it when I leave, but I've got a great support system, again, that family at home. My husband's wonderful. My parents are wonderful. My mom helps out a lot. My sisters, they watch the kids during the day if I get a call. I actually stay at home. I homeschool my kids, so
oh my God.
During the day, if we get a call, I'm one of the only, we've got 2 EMTs pretty much in town during the day, so if we get a call, it's me and one other EMT, Ann, so kind of have to go. So my sisters and my mom really pick up that slack for me. I think people get scared and don't think that they can do it. I think they think that it's, that big burning down structure that, they think that we're always running into, and that's not all it is. That happens every once in a while, every great once in a while. But most of it is, hanging out, learning things that you never in a million years thought you would ever be doing. I do ice rescue, put on the big suit and go out to the freezing cold water and learn how to rescue people. We do that, and it's just something that you never ever thought that you would do that. High angle rescue team, I'm part of the high angle rescue team too, and we do a lot of rappelling and rescuing people out of gullies and gorges and things like that. So it's just things that you can take with you anywhere you go. I'm an EMT, I can go anywhere in the country and be an EMT. I could go anywhere in the country and be a firefighter. It's just, it's a lot of life lessons, a lot of life work that you can take anywhere with you.
Do people have to have a certain bravery gene to...
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are so many jobs that you can do within the fire department. You know, I'm not an interior firefighter anymore. I gave that up about the time my son was born.
Because?
Because one, my body wasn't in the shape that it was when I was a teenager. Two, because it is inherently dangerous to do that kind of job, and if you're not confident into what you're physically able to do, then you shouldn't be doing it. I'm best served running the fire truck. I'm a good pump operator. I'm a good truck driver. So that's what I like to do.
An interior firefighter, or you're like me, you're interested in being an interior firefighter, and then you live a little out of town and you can't make a lot of the calls, that there can still be things you can do, helping out with different committees and that sort of thing. It's a wonderful community to be a part of, and it's definitely worth the time you put into it.
The value and future of fire departments. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's still a necessary, vital part of any community. People don't seem to be able to give as much time as they once did because the same people are involved in every organization. And OSHA being involved now has increased the amount of training that's necessary, which puts a bigger demand on everybody. But if you think about the other alternative, if these communities don't have a fire department, volunteer fire department, or volunteer and paid drivers, then your mortality rates, your property damages, everything would escalate dramatically because you'd be waiting for, as an example, a department to come from many more miles than just a couple miles down the road. I mean, it's very crucial to smaller communities, even though it's so demanding, but the need and the demand on the people keep increasing constantly, so it's becoming a situation where sometimes it's hard for our neighboring departments that don't have the college to recruit out of to get the membership to come and help and try to understand the efficient ways to handle fires and the complications that are created by a fire.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, obviously I have a tainted opinion, but without a doubt this is the best fire department in this county. One of the fastest, one of the most effective. We like to lead, we don't like to follow.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of animosity sometimes from other fire departments.
Really?
Not those that creates anything. There's just people said, World War did this and they did that, and it's like, well, if you're gonna call me, we're gonna put the fire out. If you don't want me to put the fire out, then don't call me.
And how do you, I asked this of someone else too, how do you deal with a catastrophe? Someone that you know, and how do you recover from that personally?
Well, it's something that you don't do by yourself. Here we are very connected to one another. It's definitely a family here, and we've had some serious incidents where we did know the person involved, and it was pretty serious, but we worked it out as a family. Come down here, meet together, discuss different things. I don't think you ever really get over it, but you learn to live with it, and we try not to let anybody go through it by themselves.
It's the job. And when you have that type of call or an accident, your training takes over. You know the person, but you do your job. You're there for a job, you do your job, you reflect on it afterwards. And our county and the state has got all sorts of help set up, mediators, talk groups, everybody to be able to work us through it, because we see some horrific stuff.
I think that you'll find something you like doing, whether it's cooking dinners, directing traffic, rappelling, being an EMT. There's always something you can do. And it's also a very rewarding thing. The Aurora Fire Department is made up of all sorts of different kinds of people. It's the local guys who are farmers or truck drivers, and it's the college professors, and it's the people who work out of town half the time as I do. So There's a lot of different kinds of people. And that's fun.
To see some more young kids just show up and see what it's like. You know, we go out recruiting and stuff, trying to get the kids, like the college kids. And if you drive by any fire station, on the plaque in front it says looking for volunteers, because you know, most fire departments are operating with about 25 people. You know, when you think about it, 25 people isn't that much. And that's if everybody shows up, and nobody, all show up at the same time. But, you know, I always felt, do what you can and help out, and don't worry. You know, if you were looking for glory, this isn't the place to get it.
I would say to them that it's a special job that we do. It's a really awesome job that we do. We get to go inside of burning buildings. We get to play with nice, big, cool trucks like this, the ladder behind us. We get to do some pretty amazing things. And not to mention the family you gain from being in the firehouse, bar none, is worth more than anything, whether it be helping your community or not. I mean, the friendship, the family, the camaraderie, all of it, that's why I'm still here.
We really need people, and you need new people all the time, because a lot of us are getting older and can't do what we used to do. It's hard work when you're actually doing out on the job and doing things. You never know what you're gonna run into when you get called out. But it's very, well, for me anyway, it's very exciting to be able to help people out and try to make their lives a lot easier than it had been.
And save them.
Right.
Well, I would say it's all about the family thing for me. It's a great team. We work so well together. We fight like a family fights. We make up like a family makes up. And we work together like a family works together. It's just it's a beautiful place. It's just an extra support for when, you know, anything is going on. Whether it's something to do with the fire department or something in your personal life, you can bring it back here, and there's always people there. You're never ever alone. You've got that extra, just a whole nother family, I guess.
Yeah.
I would just really encourage you to try it. You never ever know what you might really enjoy. And just try it. And if you don't like it, then that's okay. But you might find that you really, really love it. So
I would say you should take an interest in your fellow community members and don't have the attitude of somebody else is going to do something, because maybe somebody else won't do something and you may need that help someday, and you just hope that somebody will have that attitude that you took on yourself by joining the fire department, that they'll come to help you as well.
Time, but I did help a bunch of the students, because what they eventually worked out was they got college credit for being a part of the fire department. First couple students that did it was really just a volunteer thing, not connected, and then we sorted out, could it be an internship, could it be a college course, so it could add to their workload but be worth credit, so maybe they could do that instead of taking some extra class.
For young people, I would say just come try it. Everything might not be for you, but there's always something to do that I think you would find enjoyable and fun. And maybe it's not rushing into a burning building, but maybe it's help cook chicken or sell raffle tickets or be an EMT. There's a bunch of different stuff that we do, and I think you could find something that you really enjoy, even if you don't enjoy the firefighting part of it. There's something here for everyone, and just because you might not be 18 doesn't mean you can't come join and help out, whether it's fundraising or being a part of an emergency situation.
If you're looking for a close family, somebody you can depend on, people, you know, especially if you're new to the area like I was, I've made a lot of good friends here that I probably would have never met if it hadn't been for the fire department. I feel like I have a family here in this area that I probably wouldn't have had. No, it's a lot of fun. You learn a lot about yourself when you do it.
Well, everybody should be giving back something. This is one of the good options.
We need, you know, younger people and new members all the time. It's very rewarding. It's good to help your community, and if you have the time, it's a great thing. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun here doing fundraising, and
it's a fire club, right?
It's a lot of ways. It's a club. It's friends.
And
Just walk through that door, give it a try. If it's a fit for you, you'll know it probably within the first year, and if not, good for you for trying. But it's worth trying, and it's worth meeting everybody. You've got one end to the other end of the political spectrum and social spectrum, and people that you wouldn't necessarily probably be friends with if you weren't part of the fire department can become like your father, your brother, your sister. So that's interesting.
Getting younger or newer.
If you're looking for an opportunity to do something worthwhile with your life, you really want to matter, and you want to matter in a way that in a different way than you've ever mattered before to your entire community, not just your family, not just to you, but to your entire community and all the people that you care about in that community. This is a way to do that. You can train to do all different sorts of things in the fire department. We offer firefighting, emergency medical service, diving, ice rescue, high angle rescue, and every small tidbit that those things encompass, water rescue. If you want to do anything like that, and you want to get a feeling of self-reward that you've never had before, this is a place you can come and do that.
I just hope that people can come and find out that there's more to it than just getting up in the middle of the night or training all the time. But there's social time, and there's a lot of great feelings with everybody doing it.
I remember that I think of this as my second religion. The fire department is my second religion. There's a lot about it's the sense of purpose you get and the sense of community you get that is found right here. It is a interesting bunch of people. You would not find us, you wouldn't say that there's any one kind of person here, but every one of us is comfortable depending on each other for our lives, and that's a pretty amazing thing. I think it's a great team to be part of.
Of course, join.
Why join?
What if it was your house? Wouldn't you want somebody to come and put it out?
Yeah.
Well, then why should you be the guy that wants somebody to come and put it out and not be the guy that helps put it out? Do it. I mean, it's so much fun. If you've never been down to this building at a meeting or a drill or after a fire, when everybody's talking about everything that they did, and some of it's scary stuff, some of it's really cool stuff. It's just, the camaraderie in this building is born on the best in this community.
Well, thank you for your service. Thanks for volunteering, keeping us safe. You're the White Knights.
Well, after a fire, we're kind of like the black and dirty knights, but whatever.
Black Knights work too.
Black Knights are awesome. Go Army.
Well, aside from all the well-rounded good doings, there's tremendous camaraderie. And you develop new friendships and seem to keep them for many years.
Say it again.
Come down and join. We've got a place for you. Give you a new home.